Ain't no anhswmj, it's Jay, live from the den, Legacy Internet Radio. Thank you so much for everybody who has been rocking with us tonight. Outstanding show. Fly, forever love yourself. Fly, that is just so dope, and I was so happy and so honored to have the brothers here to talk about it. And I got a sneaky suspicion that First Lady gonna figure out a way to get them brothers back up in this joint some other time to do some other thing, because they was just too dope to have one time.
Oh yeah.
And so
those my guys right there.
Yeah, man. So we're gonna move on to the rest of the conversation. Before I do that, I want to get some love in. Shout out to Mark, who checked in with us in the very first segment. Shout out to Cass, who hit us up in social media. Shout out to Michelle K, who also checked us out in social media. And shout out to Big Bro Joe, who was in the building briefly, came in to say peace to us. Obviously, Tavon was here earlier as well. So always like to make sure we get everybody who has been around properly introduced. They're not here. Right now, you got my brother Ty Cool, and you got the First Lady of Legacy Internet Radio, comedian that's Lissa P. And I guess I'm kind of here too, so y'all have to deal with me as I facilitate the rest of the conversation. But what I want to do, Ty, is I want to talk about the news cycle, man. It's enough on the news cycle that'll get you kind of riled up if you're a riled up type of person. And I think you're a riled up type of person. That's why come you here. How come, why come?
Exactly. How come, why come?
That's how come, why come you here. We're going to go right to the sadness, man. Yesterday, dude roll up in the church, just shot it up, man. He shot up the church because he had beef with the wife and the mother-in-law and all of that type stuff. If you're hearing the whole story, the dude rolled up in the church in Texas with a semi-automatic rifle, and he shot the church up, man. And 26 people that we know of died. At least 20 people are in the hospital recovering from their injuries with various levels of severity. Hopefully we don't lose any more, but it's possible because some of them are critical. And we live in a country now where is logically thinking as we are, you can't logically think about people rolling up in places like movie theaters and malls and now churches and shooting the shit up. Give me your thoughts on what happened yesterday, and let's talk about it. We're going to open it up. We're going to bring the First Lady back in. What's your thoughts, man?
Oh, man. And mind you, I didn't get a chance to touch on this story a little bit to read on it until sometime last night, early this morning. And I didn't know to what extent that I just know that people were hurt, there were casualties, but I didn't know it was that many and that many had died. Like, man, the more we go on, it's like, I mean, just going on in time, the more and more, just like you just said, Marcus, logical thinking, it has taken a backseat to just straight up. I don't want to say anarchy, but somewhere in this midst is just like it is totally off. It's like, man, you run up in the church with innocent folk just because of your beef with your wife, and was this his mother or her mother? The mother-in-law?
Her mother-in-law, yeah.
Okay, the mother-in-law. Man, it come a point in time, okay. Man, some things we just don't know what's going on in people's heads, but at the same time, take your ass out and leave. Just leave.
Yeah.
Man, that's just, what was that, 26 people?
26, we lost 26 people.
Innocent lives lost, man.
First Lady, we know that there's been mass shootings happening in the United States of America semi-regularly. Just in the last 35 days, we've had 2 of them where we've lost 58 and then 26 Americans to mass shootings carried out by people who are American. I don't even know if there's a question. I'll just kind of state that and then ask you to speak on it.
Yeah, I think, of course, it's a very tragic situation. And I was listening to the news today, and I think they said the youngest victim was 17 months.
Baby.
And it was amazing that out of all the casualties, it was 8 from one family. So it was like the associate pastor, then the associate pastor's wife, and then she was 6 months pregnant, and then 3 out of their 5 children got killed, and then her brother-in-law got killed, and then one of his children got killed. So it's a lot of grief going on for a lot of people, and as we know, grief can be a very, very tough thing, and especially if you don't know how to deal with grief. It's a thing. It's a very true statement of people can die from a broken heart, and especially if you don't get the right help that you need. And speaking of the right help that you need, then you go to the shooter. It was one thing that, the president said, Mr. Trump, and said that this particular man, I guess because he is, I guess because he's from America, or because he's white, that he said that it was really based on mental illness, or that's what he felt that this man was dealing with. And I agree with Ty, because you never know, and I always say this, I really don't think it has anything to do with gun control. Now, in his particular case, there was very much some gun control things missed, because, he had so many things that go on prior, like on his record, like the assault against his own wife and own child, like back in 2014, and then his dismissal from the military. And I read something today that said that he had a charge against animal cruelty. But they said he sat on the back of, like, he had a puppy husky, and he would punch the dog in the head or in the face like 5 to 6 times. And, there were multiple complaints about that. And then after all of that, in 2016, he was able to purchase a firearm. So again, yeah, people, I don't know. I really have to say, I think it's mental illness when you feel like that you can kill somebody, period. Whether you're from here or you're not, I feel like that there is an issue. There's something wrong. There is a mental illness there if you feel like that you're righted to take a human life. But again, with all that being said, it's a very sad thing. I'm really not surprised. Yes, I'm very sad, but I'm not surprised. You don't know. I mean, just look at the Vegas shooter. I think he was clean as a whistle. They still don't know what his motive was. So again, it's all about gun control, but then you have people with squeaky clean backgrounds that's still able to purchase things that cause people harm. So like I said, I really don't know what else to say. We're numb to it. I mean, we hear about, this is the second mass shooting in what is it, a month?
Since October 1st.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
October 1st, and then when was this one?
Yesterday.
And then if you factor in the situation in New York City, which was on Halloween.
Oh,
yeah.
And so you've got October 1st, October 31st, and then November 6th. But what was yesterday's
November
date?
5th?
The 5th.
Yeah.
So here's the monkey, the elephant in the room, because I ain't running for nothing. And I'm finna make y'all uncomfortable. But President of the United States, when it was the Las Vegas shooter, he talked about how he was deranged and had some mental illness. President of the United States last week, when it was the guy from wherever he was, not America, but he's lived here since 2010.
Yeah.
He immediately calls for the death penalty, and he's citing terrorism. And then today, or yesterday, when this church thing happens, we're talking about mental illness again, and we're talking about we don't have enough information, and we're talking about how we need to chill for a minute and see what's going on, and no, it's too soon to talk about gun control. Now, if you're a person like me who has very little filter, then you gonna call bullshit on that. I don't know what y'all gonna do. I'm gonna give y'all an opportunity to speak, but I'm gonna call bullshit on that. Because when you're a white male, you are the face of terrorism in the United States of America. The white male is the face of terrorism in the United States because they are more likely to terrorize Americans than people who are not white males. They will have you believe that an Islamic faith person or Muslim person or brown person is the face of terrorism. And they're quick to tell you. Not one time did I hear the word terrorism come out about this guy yesterday. Not once did I hear the word terrorism come out about the guy in Las Vegas. Not once did I hear the word terrorism come out with Dylan Roof, who they took to freaking Burger King to feed his punk ass after he killed 9 people. But immediately, the President of the United States calls for the death penalty and calls the Islamic guy last week in New York City a terrorist. And so obviously there's no interest in balancing your rhetoric and bridging the divide between communities in the United States. Because if there were, then you would tone down the rhetoric. But you telling us how you feel. You a white dude, you got basically a bad case of crazy. But if you're a brown dude, you a downright terrorist and you need the death penalty. That's how I feel about it. I got so much more to say, but Ty, you up? You got something that you want to add or subtract?
No. No. Shoot, Marcus. This is one topic that I can honestly say they don't want to touch this on my job, especially if I'm listening, because it's like, in my mindset, you know, the old school round the way, our elders, look at here. You see the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
Don't run from that shit. Yeah, I know y'all want me to be nicey nice, but no. Don't run from this shit because look at it for what it is. Trump is a blowhard. He's been a blowhard ever since. And what he has said, what he has put out there in between, in perfect way of putting it is just that imbalancing the rhetoric, which he has not done. It's basically is very ignorant because once again, you putting the face on something where somebody that's over here a lot of the time trying to do something, trying to do right, trying to make a living, but yet they got one bad apple that does what that cat did, and then automatically, once again, here we are with the ignorant stereotype of saying this brown man over here is representation of terrorists. I mean, all these things with Timothy McVeigh and all these other cats that have done things, including these 2 white dudes, and you gonna not say they're not terrorists? Nah, man. No, man, we don't believe you.
What you got, First Lady?
But you know, it's so funny, and I would definitely put this out there. I was really sitting at home saying, please don't let it be a black man. Please don't let it be a black man. But then at that point, I was like, this is not something that we do. You know, we don't want to go and kill a bunch of people. Like, for real, we don't have time for that. Like, we're really trying to do other things. We're really trying to come up in the come up. I just don't get it. And I feel like, of course, they've been programmed to see that darker is bad. You know, that even goes to with women. You already know how we do about the skin color with the light skin, dark skin. So we already see a dark skin sister and be like, ew. You know, versus a light skin chick, we be like, oh, she's all fly, she's all exotic, you know, whatever. So again, we're already judging ourselves. So why wouldn't the white man judge us? Again, they've already done that since forever. which one of us was going to be in the field. It was going to be the darker one. The darker one gets the worst labor. The darker one gets the most labor. The darker one gets the slop that's left from the ones who got to eat inside of the house. So again, it's always been, you've been judged on your color. So therefore, if it was a black man who shot up the church, I wonder what he'd be called.
Here's what I want to ask First Lady and Taco, because I'm challenged with this colorism thing, where you know what you know. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have conversations with other black folk when you know that the situation would be different if it was us versus them. But then when you find yourself having conversations with white folk and they twist it through no fault of their own, because they're is guilty of cultural conditioning as you are, and they get caught up in being defensive because they don't want to feel like they're being attacked. So when you say things like, only white boys shoot up movie theaters, you ain't never gonna see no brother doing that shit. Like, you just not gonna see no brother doing that shit. You just not. You know what I mean? Now, you did have a brother shoot up a church a month ago.
Yeah.
You did have that. But generally, as a rule, you got white boys that shoot up places. When you look at these mass shootings, from Newtown to Charleston to Denver, Boulder with the Columbine,
yep.
to, like, you just go through all of those, and this is the shit they do. But then you find yourself in conversations with people because you're trying to find solutions.
Yep.
And your words get twisted. You're not trying to be bigoted. You're just trying to keep it 100. Also, you know how they do when they talking about black on black crime, the myth that is. So you're trying to defend all of that. My question to you, Ty, as a black man, and I'm gonna get the First Lady in on this in a minute to speak for sisters. But as a black man, do you find yourself constantly having to defend the worst of black men?
A lot, not a lot of the time, but sometimes a good deal, because how can I put this? Or better yet, let's just keep it 100, keep it a buck. All right. We know a lot of times we get caught up in our own thing of stereotyping when we see it. Yet, when we know when they see it from their point of view, a lot of times you just be like, it's like kind of can be like nails on a chalkboard, because it's one of those things where it's like the mindset of, look at here, we can talk about them, but what you're not going to do. And mind you, it's like, we don't care. It's like, we don't care. What y'all not going to do is figure you just going to do that in front of us and us be in agreement. It's the thing of, yeah, we already know how y'all feel, white folk. We already know that. We got that. It's plain and clear. It's written on your face. What's up, Facebook Live? But you need to let y'all know. Yet at the same time and at the same level, we that's upstanding is trying to find the solutions that we can turn this damn thing around. What we don't need from you all is some more of your put down. Because the worst thing y'all do, white folk, is the moment you see the worst, then all of a sudden you classify all of us. All of us. Unless you getting a casual conversation, but yet still, you still have that classification.
Well, with that one black friend. You're with that one
that
black
one
friend.
black friend.
What you think, First Lady?
I mean, I guess, I just have to go off what Ty said, because, everything is always going to be a black white thing. It's gonna always forever be like that, and I really don't see it changing. In the near future. Again, when you have the young ones being brought up with that same type of mindset, if we want to go to the school here in, I guess in Virginia, we had the middle school kids,
Short Point Middle,
taunting the black kids, basically pinning them down and doing just mocking sex acts with them, saying that I'm a F the black out of you. You know what I'm saying? And for you to be in middle school, where did you get that from? Now I understand they're practically showing sex on cartoons now. So the whole sex thing, I'm not surprised with that about the kids. Sad, I'm not surprised, but I'm not. But as far as where did you get that mentality of that I'm going to screw the black out of you? And again, for you being, I don't know, really, I forgot how old you are in middle school. But for you to be that young, where did you learn that from? So again, I feel like this is going to be a forever thing. Everybody needs to get educated or get re-woke, if that's what we want to use now, and make sure we just stay educated. We got to make sure that we educate our young ones, and let them know that even though we're educating them to stay woke and to recognize their blackness and everything that they're great in, you still can't be a jackass to the opposite race or to other people, because that's just not right. So more self-love.
No, I can totally dig that. I think a lot of times we look at the worst of a group and we use that worst of the group as the representative of the group. For example, many of us in the black community don't care too much for the police officers.
Right.
And many of us have police officers in our camp, our friend group,
Absolutely.
our family group, or whatever. And so we know them, and we know that they're not assholes, but we don't care. Because when we watch the news and we see what happens to Sandra Bland and Eric Garner and Tamir Rice and John Crawford, Ramali Graham and Oscar Grant and Freddie Gray, and the fact that I just named 5-6 names off the dome is distressing enough.
Yeah.
But we can do that. And so we assume that all police are bad. And then when we see people like David Dukes, and we see people like whoever this young white guy now is that's showing up on all of these college campuses, his name is escaping me.
Me too.
Because he did the second round in Charlottesville.
Exactly.
Yeah, so
that guy.
That, yeah.
Same guy. I can't think of his name.
I forgot too, yeah.
But we talking about the same guy.
Yeah.
Donald Trump.
Yeah.
I put in that class as well, and we put all white folks in that class. You know what I'm saying? And they do the same thing to us. And I think the big problem is we assume that the worst of a community is the representative of the community. And we got to get past that.
True.
We all got to do better with that. Now, as a black man who has found myself and our community consistently on the defensive, then I'm going to be defensive. For example, you do not turn on the news and see stories regularly, or look in the newspaper, or look on the internet, or Google. It's not about reporting. It's about y'all do this shit and we don't. Where you see white folks chasing down black folks, trying to lynch them, trying to put them in trees, putting nooses. There's a story coming out of the fire department in Miami where they're taking the black lieutenant's photographs out of his picture frames at work and drawing penises on them and nooses on the female members of his families. Where's the story of black folk doing this shit to white people?
Let me just say the new David Duke, his name is Richard B. Spencer.
Richard Spencer, that's him. Yep. Richard Spencer. That's the guy who we both were forgetting his name. Yeah. Where are the stories of black folk doing this shit to white people, y'all? Like, seriously. Like, all of this, black people can be just as racist as white people. First of all, learn the definition of the term racism or racist, because if there's no power component, there's no racism. You can be a bigot, you can be an idiot, you can be, someone who does not want everybody to be prosperous, but don't use the word racism, because you sound like a dummy when you do.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And so it just gets frustrating to me, because to me, racism is not a black person problem. White folk, this y'all shit, man. It really is. This y'all shit. Y'all need to fix it. But it don't affect them like it affects us. And when's the last time you saw somebody who was interested in fixing a problem that didn't affect them? You're not going to.
No.
Ain't no half step on Marcus J. Live from the den. Legacy Internet Radio. 804-402-2893 is the number dial. You want to rock with us. Taku, did you hear about the president of the United States and his Mar-a-Lago ranch down in Florida looking to get 70 visas from people who are not from America to come work at Mar-a-Lago for him? Did you hear about that?
No.
First
I'm
Lady,
just
did you
now
hear about
hearing
that?
about this.
Yes, I did hear about that.
I'm just not hearing about this. So let me get this straight.
Yes,
Marcus.
get it straight.
Let me get this straight.
Get it straight.
Marcus.
Get it straight.
Listen. Let me get it straight. That here it is. He's talking stuff about immigration reform.
Yep. Keep going. I'm with you.
And building this wall. And if people really understand, the wall is not going to be built because the borders have never been closed, north of the border or south of the border. Just want to throw that in. But nonetheless, you want to throw this, you want to throw all this immigration reform, but yet you want some same said immigrants. What, 70?
70 visas
Jesus.
that he has, his company,
Yeah.
not him individually,
Okay.
but his company that manages Mar-a-Lago, which is his ranch in Florida, where he do all his business, all his hanging out and all that stuff.
Yeah.
They have applied for 70 visas for people from gardeners to cooks to people who clean and all of that kind of stuff. Yeah. Now I got an opinion about that, but I want to hear yours.
So, all that said and done, you want to kick them out on the one end, but turn right back around and contradict, and you want to hire them to work at your ranch.
Yeah.
Ain't that the pot calling the kettle black?
It doesn't seem like it's the right way to go.
To quote one of my brothers, used to work with on the same job with John and Twan. That's some bullshit, Lotto.
Loudo,
You can fix yourself. You fix yourself up to.
what you think about this, First Lady?
Yeah, pass it on.
I think that they would be. I think they would be hidden, and I think that no one would question Donald Trump. No one questions him now when he does ridiculous stuff that could put us in harm's way. Can we say nuclear? So you really think that anybody's going to say anything to him about obtaining these visas? Who's going to say something? They won't even talk against him about the things that may kill us. You really think that they're going to say, oh, well, thank you for talking about immigration reform and you really shouldn't be getting those visas? Who's going to say anything to him? Yes, it's very contradicting. Yes, mostly everything he says and does is contradicting. I really don't think that we should be surprised about this. If he wants to obtain the 70 or 700 visas, he will get them. It's like there's no stopping him. They actually got upset with the person who shut down his Twitter for 11 minutes. Like that person, even though they were on their way out, like they get some kind of, discipline.
Wow.
Yeah.
How you quit? How you get disciplined on the way out the job?
Right. That you quit. But again, I just feel like, him obtaining these visas is, again, letting him know I will do what I want to do. I don't care if I bring these people over here with the visas to tell them to go build the wall. That's what I will do because I am the president and I've been doing what I want to do since I've been sworn in.
But think about how contradictory it is to tout bringing jobs back to America and getting rid of NAFTA and doing all of these things, and you have an employment agency in the area of Mar-a-Lago who says that there are over 5,000 people in the area who are qualified to get the jobs at Mar-a-Lago that he just got 70 visas for.
Wow.
Because they always say that, of course, they can also, too, pay them nothing. So versus us who would speak up for ourselves and be like, you will not pay me $250 a day to work for 8 hours.
Well, some of the positions salaries were, and they're not lucrative salaries. They're not. But you got to figure, if you got somebody who's hard on their luck, just think about the people that you know personally, people that Ty knows, people that I know, who right here in the cap city of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia, who have difficulties finding jobs. They'd work for $10, $11 an hour. They'd be pissed about doing it because they might feel like it's not something that is worthy of their skills, but they got to eat.
That's right.
They do it. You know what I mean? So to say that these people in this territory, in these areas, are not looking for jobs, it's just so crazy to me. And the colossal gall that this man has and these people have that support him.
Yeah.
Nobody questions it. Like, we come on, independent radio and left-wing radio, and we complain about it, but nobody gives a shit. That blows my mind, y'all. Nobody cares. Why are these people so? I almost said why are these people so scared of him? Like, that's the next question. First Lady, Taku, why are people afraid of Donald Trump? Like, I don't get it.
It's money. It's all about money. Basically, like you said, I got to eat. So basically, right now, how I'm seeing it, if I talk against you, I'm not going to eat. Look how many people he's been able to fire. People who've been in their positions for way longer than he's been President Trump. So again, these people are afraid of his power. I guess it's the senator who just stepped down. Is it Flake? Who stepped down and said that he was not going to run. He was going to finish his term, come 2019, because he could not basically be a yes man.
Yeah.
So again, if you just like, who's the Speaker of the House? He is so a yes man, knowing good as well he does not appreciate the president.
Young guy, what's his name? Paul Ryan.
Yeah. And, so again, because they're looking at their pockets in the long run, they are willing to almost give their newborn to make sure that they make this man happy.
Right. Keeping with the president and his shit, the whole thing about the shooting this week is upsetting, obviously.
Yeah.
And the president came out and said that there's a lot of mental illness that's going around, particularly with this guy. You remember that? You guys hear those comments?
Mm-hmm.
You do remember in February, the president repealed a rule that was designed to block gun sales to certain mentally ill people. That was something that President Barack Hussein Obama, number 44, set up. And President Donald John Trump, number 45, repealed it. And then yesterday, he comes out and says there's some mental illness. So the total confusion with regards to that blows my mind, because it seems like those of us in the middle and the left can scream and scream and scream, but those on the right, you got the ones that support him and then the ones that just want to win. They want to win. So it don't matter what happens. They just want to win. They want their side to win. Blood or cuz, red or blue. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that just really chaps my ass. To use a old school corny phrase.
Yeah.
All right. Last thing I want to get to on this is, keeping with the president, November is Native American Heritage Month. First Lady, he starts off by saying some really great things about Native Americans and talking about their history and talking about how great they are for this country and all of that kind of stuff.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm sure it was a prepared statement.
Oh, it's got to be, because I'm pretty sure he didn't throw Columbus in there.
Somebody wrote it for him.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And this was on the 1st, which was last Wednesday. And then on the 3rd, which was on Friday, he tweets, Pocahontas just stated the Democrats, led by a legendary crooked Hillary Clinton, rigged primaries. Let's go FBI and Justice Department. Now, for those folks who may not know what that's about, Pocahontas, First Lady, is who? Do you remember who she is?
Miss Elizabeth Warren, Senator Elizabeth Warren.
Yes, of Massachusetts, who has Native American heritage. And he likes to call her Pocahontas. And Pocahontas is not a really cool thing to call somebody
No.
who's Native American. So, what's your thoughts on this one?
I really think that sometimes I'm the only one in America who's watching TV or watching this man speak. Like, seriously, I'm so serious because people actually sit there and commentate on why this man does what he does, and are his tweets real, and should we believe him? Oh my God. And the things that he does, like how he'll set up something he's about to say, as far as, you know, well, you all have to just wait and see about that, or you know, just the little side remarks that he makes. And I really feel like, and it's so bad and so unfortunate, and like somebody has said before, you really don't know or can trust what he says. This is a man who has the nuclear codes. Okay,
Yeah.
This is a man who calls people like he's in junior high school, calls them out of their names. Again, you're gonna represent the Native Americans, but then you're gonna turn around and call a senator Pocahontas. You know, very disrespectful. And we already know he doesn't have respect. So again, I sit and look at the things that he says, and that the for real people, like the CNN people, like you all are really listening to this man. And I'm like, how much of a joke can he say? I think the only person who I can follow right behind is Joy Behar off of The View. When I tell you, she has a book called The Great Gas Bag, and it's about Donald Trump. You know, she is the only one I think that we are eye to eye when she's on that show. And it's like, does anybody say that he's a liar but me? It's like everybody else tries to talk around his points or his tweets or what? Yo, he's a liar. That's all he knows is how to lie. And you already know once you tell a lie, you got to tell another one to cover it up. And again, he speaks his truth. So you hear his first speech on November the 1st, where you could tell it's so totally written out. And then you hear how he really feels on the 3rd through his tweets, through his I'm telling you. That's why he's all of a sudden he has writers now, because he has been loose lips for a long time, and we all know that, and we all have said, and they have heard our cry, like somebody needs to write this man's stuff, and they have. So again, when he writes his stuff, when they write his stuff, he's on point. When he's loose lips by himself, he's destructive. And again, that's the Trump that you need to believe, the one who calls you Pocahontas, or the one that calls, what was the man that he called? Even when he called Kim Jong-un Rocket Man, it was the other man that just quit. He called him little. I forgot what he called him, but still, just the name calling, just the very childish ways is not presidential at all. So I feel like, again, anything that's nasty, mean, belligerent, or ill will, believe it. Anything that's prepped, sounds great, articulate, together, revised.
That's the bullshit.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the bullshit.
It's so the bullshit.
But you got Taco.
Oh, man. I'm just going to piggyback right off of, listen, right there. The old saying of a person showed you who they are the first time, believe it.
Yes.
That's been him from day one.
Yes.
I mean, and granted, and mind you, we, in this room right here, we are from the classic and golden age of hip-hop, and how this man was glamorized in records. Yet, nobody paid attention to his demeanor, his overall aura. It's never been good.
Right.
And what we see now, what we see now is like, what gets at me is like, what people see now is like, yo, we've seen this coming up.
We know.
We know
who he is.
Exactly. So, at the end of the day, man, believe the fact that he's going to stoop to the lowest of the low. Because you can say how much of a businessman he is, which he hasn't been that great. The thing is, the mentality speaks for itself. This dude here,
And, I really think that, and I honestly think this too, and I will stand alone. I really think that he only got elected off of entertainment purposes.
Oh,
I believe
yeah.
half the people that
yeah.
that elected him watched The Apprentice.
Absolutely.
I really feel like that was probably half the
Absolutely.
people's favorite show. And it was like, whole word, because they, I think, too, really didn't think that it was going to happen.
Yeah.
Because again, it was all on entertainment person. It wasn't to help the world.
Yep.
That wasn't what it was about. It was like, oh, we're gonna get this clown. He's saying all this stuff. They got him for being a jackass for the because nobody else was saying, hell, knock him out. I'll pay for it. Everybody likes entertainment. That's why there's so much ratchet TV now. More ratchet TV than news.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So therefore, you gotta know entertainment.
Totally, 100,000 million % agree with you, First Lady, on that. I think that the celebrity of the name recognition is what propelled Donald John Trump into the White House.
Yes.
I think that same recognition is what kept Hillary Clinton from getting to the White House, because he was newer to many of America. Those of us who paid attention, and those of us who may have been familiar with him through the New York City media, may have been familiar with who he is and what he's done, and kind of knew how this would go.
Yeah.
But when he hit the national scale, you got the tough guy. Like, man, this gonna sound real fucked up,
Yes.
but these punk ass white boys need to have some sort of superhero that they can look up to. And when they go to school and they go to work and they go to their normal neighborhoods, they just are who they are, but they see Donald Trump as some sort of freaking superhero.
Yeah.
Who grabs people by the peas, and he talks trash about foreign leaders, and he's a tough guy and all of this kind of stuff. And they see themselves in that. They want to be that. And so they support him and they salute him. And they don't pay attention to the nonsense. They get caught up in the rhetoric and the hero worship.
Right, but oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. Go ahead.
And because I want to piggyback off your off your superhero
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Like, so basically, whether you like He-Man or Batman, whatever, basically, what are you looking in for a superhero? To do something that you really
can't
want to
do.
do. Right, or you can't do.
That you can't do.
And they see that Trump, God, he can get out there and cuss and he can say what he wants to. Nobody's ever seen anything like that. So it's like, dang,
This
yeah,
dude
we
is
gonna
my
go
dude.
with him.
That's
Yeah,
my dude.
That's my hero.
That's my dude.
Right.
How many times have we as black folk watched a movie or a person in pop culture and was like, that's my dude, yo. I'm rocking, or her, I'm rocking with this person. The difference is this person ain't the leader of the free world. You know what I'm saying? But when you look at this guy, and part of me understands it, like you said, First Lady, part of me understands it. It's like, this dude, he's a badass.
Yeah.
He a badass. He say what he think. You know what I'm saying?
Infatuation,
He
yeah.
got swag. You know what I'm saying? He can get any
No, I
woman.
won't say all that.
He got swag. He can get any woman in the world he want, usually because of his money.
Yep.
But the reality is he can. You know what I'm saying? He rolls up in places and people fall out at the sight of him. That's some hero worship type stuff. The problem is that ain't the type of ooh, damn, it's almost cussed again. That ain't the type of dude that you want to lead your country. That might be the type of dude you want to lead your country club.
Yeah, but not your country.
But not your country. That might be the type of dude that you want to smack around somebody that's giving you the business. That might be the type of cat that you want to roll with you when you got beef with the homies in the hood next to your hood. But is that really who you want? Do you want the president of the United States to say things like, yeah, I'm a celebrity, man. I just grab her by the pee, man. It's cool. It's no biggie. They let you do it. You know what I mean? You want a president of the United States to just say things like, man, I can go down to Times Square and shoot that joint up. Y'all punks will still vote for me. You want a president that'll say that? You want a president that will go to Japan and look the president of another country in the eye and say, yeah, we set up your whole economy. It's cool, but it ain't as good as ours. This is what he said yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
This is what he said yesterday. Even if it's true, hath there no couth, no class?
None.
That's how you roll?
Yeah.
And this is why the arrogant American is the face of we can't stand y'all in this world.
I have a quick question. How long has Arnold Schwarzenegger been governor?
He's not the governor of California anymore.
Okay.
But I think he had two
Two
terms.
Yeah.
Now, again, who was the governor prior to him, and did he get his votes because he was Arnold? Like, was there somebody else who more qualified for the governor job at the time that he ran?
I mean, that's a good question, and I see where you're going.
Yeah.
I totally see where you're going. I don't know California politics that well to be able to say who was the governor before Arnold and who's the governor now. But what I do know is Arnold was a Republican governor of a traditionally Democratic state.
Yeah.
And so there might be some hero worship there that got him elected, but also know that generally he was viewed favorably after he left office. So even though he kind of bucked the tradition of what you normally get,
Right.
they kind of rocked with him.
Just like with Trump.
But I think, yeah, again, and I probably should speak on this because I don't know California politics as well as I need to be able to really go here. But I never got the kind of feeling from Arnold Schwarzenegger that I get from Donald Trump.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying celebrity-wise. Like,
So the celebrity.
right, the whole celebrity thing. So
Right.
again, like,
Okay.
if it was me and Ty running, you'd have to really think about which one of us you gonna vote for. But if Ty was the new Black Panther dude and I'm running and I've been in y'all state forever, Ty 9 times out of 10 gonna get it.
Right.
This is Black Panther dude. He didn't do Marvel stuff. Is he Marvel?
Yeah.
Whatever, thank you. But I'm just saying, we voted for Black Panther. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
that's the whole popularity.
But
so.
you know,
Yeah.
there's been precedent for that before, like Jesse Ventura, who
Yes.
I swear I wish he would run for president. Oh my God, you would turn the country upside
I
down.
really
Yes.
like him.
I
Yes.
mean,
He's so phenomenal when he talks. I
love
him.
Jesse Ventura. I've always I love Jesse when it was Jesse the Body
That's
as a
right.
wrestler guy,
Yes.
because he was always the keep it real guy. Then you
Yes.
got Al Franken.
Yes.
You know what I'm
Bomb
saying?
Turk.
I like Al Franken.
Yeah,
Like,
like-
he is so, and he's a comic. So.
New Bomb
Yeah,
Turk. Hollywood
and it's
nights,
crazy
yes.
because he be on the Senate floor
Yeah.
telling like jokes, but they don't be jokes.
No.
Like it be some real shit, but he say it in a joking way, and don't nobody laugh unless you a comic and you get what he's saying. But I mean, but
Yeah.
I get where you're going, First Lady. The whole thing about the celebrity, are we really feeding into this hero worship? And now are we in peril for the next, obviously for at least the next 3 years, unless he's impeached or quits, which I don't think either will happen. And I also think that if he ends up making it to the end of this term, we may end up get stuck with him for another one. So we need to be
Yeah.
mindful. And this is why it's important tomorrow in New Jersey and here in Virginia and other states where you have gubernatorial races and you have races where there are seats that are coming up. If you got to vote for the dog catcher, then vote for the dog catcher. But you need to take your ass to the polls and exercise your right. There have been precedent many, 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 many times to show that your vote does not matter. I get it. I understand. There's this whole thing about Donna Brazile and Hillary Clinton. We're not getting into all of that tonight. If you know what I'm talking about, then you know what I'm talking about. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Google it. We're not getting into it tonight. But there's a lot that would make you think that your vote does not matter and does not count. I get it. Trust me, I get it. But for those folks who are part of the Christian faith, who are on the backside of it, who say, well, I'd rather just pray and be right, and then when Judgment Day comes, I find out that I was right as opposed to me being wrong. I'd rather just go ahead and say I believe in Jesus. That's how I feel about voting. Take your ass to the poll just in case the shit's real. Because if it's real and you didn't vote, and then you end up with a Donald Trump of your state, then what? Who you going to blame then? Because we ended up with a Donald Trump of the country, and we stuck with him for at least the next 3 years. And that's scary. That's real damn sad. Ain't no half step on Marcus J. Live from the Den, Legacy Internet Radio. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about a couple of pop culture things. First Lady, you see Tyrese crying?
Just whining like a little baby.
Well, we're going to talk about him. Ty
was
Cool,
fake.
did you hear about the sister who people was calling in saying that she was too shapely to be on the news?
I just happened to see that.
Demetrius.
Did you hear the comments from the First Lady of the United States of America talking about how men are entitled? We're going to get into those three stories when we come back from this break. I got my brother Ty Cool, who is spending the night with us here in the Den of Legacy Internet Radio. I got the First Lady of Legacy Internet Radio, comedian as Lissa P. Yay. I'm Marcus J. Be back in a few, y'all. Stay with us.
What's up, y'all? This is your man K-Dub, and when I'm down on 285 down in Atlanta, GA, maybe on I-64 in Newport News, Virginia, or maybe I'm in Jersey City catching that light rail headed downtown to go into NYC, I'm always plugged in to Legacy Internet Radio, listening to Ain't No Half Stepping with my man Marcus J. Check it out, y'all. Peace.
Holistic care for the mind, body, and spirit. Free Spirit Enterprises, LLC is a parent company for Organic Creations, Jewelry by Design, Miller Publishing, and Consultation Services. Organic Creations offers you the best in natural, homemade skin and hair care products. Jewelry by Design allows you, the customer, to design your own jewelry as it is custom made just for you. Thinking of self-publishing a book or novel? Check out Miller Publishing and Consultation Services. Free Spirit Enterprises is where holistic care meets mind, body, and spirit. Visit us at freespiritenterprisesco.biz. That's FRESPIRITENTERPRISESCO.biz. Or you can call 804-252-6562. Like us on Facebook under Free Spirit Enterprises, LLC.